everybody. Today we're doing a simple, quick job. We're cutting out 6 inches of the base area here. I guess when they did tile and they removed the baseboard, they noticed some water damage on the wall. I think this wall came in from the sprinklers on the outside, soaking into the foundation or through the window. I don't know. I'm not here to investigate the water source. I was just called in to cut out a little area so they can look in the wall, make sure there's no damage going on, no leaking pipes. I told them the area's hair color probably been scraped and remudded, but they wanted to cut out the area just for peace of mind to look inside and make sure the framings looks good. With this, I'm just doing a 6 inch cutout. A lot of guys opt in to do a 1 foot or 2 foot cutout, but we're going to keep this area small, just cut it out, small area. Try to keep the price down for the homeowner just so they can look in the wall, make sure the framing and the insulation looks good. If there was some damage in the wall, then we would have to clean up this drywall mess here, and then they would have to come in and remediate and do whatever they need to do. But they just want a visual inspection, make sure everything looks good inside the wall. That's why we're just doing a 6 inch strip. They have new baseboard coming in that's probably like 4 to 6 inches, so probably would have covered most of this. That's why they're just cutting out a little area just to see. With this, I'm just doing a chalk line. I'm marking up 6 inches on each side. I'm gonna run my chalk line, so that basically gives me a line where I know where I need to cut. I'm just using a multi-tool. These multi-tools work good, but they are kind of jagged and aggressive, so I don't really use them all the time. Sometimes it's easier just to use a razor blade just to cut it out. Get the areas all cut out. I'm looking in here. I'm looking for any moisture in the wood. Everything looks dry. The insulation looks dry. I kicked up the insulation just to check the footer board. Gonna pull all my nails, clean it all up, sweep it, vacuum it, whatever it takes, working down to the tile. So sometimes it's hard to get to the little gap there between the tile and the wall because they did the tile after the drywall, of course. So we got to dig it all out if possible. Sometimes you won't be able to dig it out if there's cement and stuff where the tile is. So you just want to try to get all that drywall out of there, all the nails pulled, all the screws pulled. Just basically get it ready for new sheetrock. Pretty simple process, just cleaning it all up, not putting down plastics. I know I'm just going to sweep up all this. I usually put down plastic and stuff when I start mudding, but it's easier sometimes to just sweep all this up instead of plastic in the way. If they had some water issues in the wall, obviously if you see some mold growth, damage insulation, and then it's really bad, then of course they would have to come in and remediate this and take care of it. I don't do that kind of stuff. I'm just a drywall repairman. I'm not here to do any remediation. I'm just here to open up the wall for them and then just patch it back up if it wasn't too bad. Top areas are peeling. That's just texture peeling. It's old texture here. So we're just scraping that off with my 6 inch knife. Pretty simple. Do 6 inch because it's easier to cut nice 6 inch strips. Throw them in there, no big deal. Get it all patched in. I like to clean as I go, keep it clean. Drywall is messy, so it's easier to clean as you go. So you're not just sitting here working in big mess. I like to measure it out, try to keep everything square. If you don't want to do 6 inches, go a foot up, 1 foot, foot and a half, 2 foot. Just keep it easy so when you cut the new sheetrock, it's easier to piece it in. I like to do 6 inch or something under 12 inches. That way I can use my 10 or 12 inch knife to coat it. If I did a 12 inch, then I'll have to use a bigger knife and float it out. But I'm more likely going to float out this whole wall area all the way up to the window, just so it's all mudded and textured, one texture. Like I said, they just wanted to look in the wall. I don't see anything going on here. I think the water came in from outside because they have like a flower bed on the outside, so they don't have the wall treated. So I recommended they don't have plants, don't have irrigation and stuff next to their foundation. Stucco wall, maybe the water soaked into the stucco. I don't know. I'm not here to inspect it, fix the water source. I was just called in to do a simple drywall repair, cut out, and replace. Cut it all out, get the new sheetrock in, get it plenty of screws in it. Also add screws on your outside drywall. Once you cut this open, you loosen up the old wall area. So always put screws on your studs on your outside edge of your old sheetrock. This helps tighten up the sheetrock. It also helps you mark the stud. I do 1 or 2 screws, shows the direction of the stud, shows me where the stud is. Common houses are every 16 center. Some houses do 24, but more likely it's 16 center. I cut in some 6-inch drywall pieces, rippers here, so it's easier to piece it in. Just pop them in, screw them into place. If you want to cut back center to center the stud for your second piece, that's fine, or you can just add a wood backer, no big deal. It's such a small area, it's going to get all taped and coated anyways and textured and then baseboard put on it, so it doesn't really have to be that secure. It's just a small 6-inch strip. Add plenty of screws. Also add screws on the base footer board if possible. Add 1 or 2 screws on the footer in between the studs. It just keeps everything nice and tight. You don't want loose sheetrock, especially if they go to install baseboard and they have loose sheetrock on the base area. So that's why we always tighten up, add a couple screws in between each stud on the base footer board. Get it all sheetrocked, scraped, and then I'm gonna follow through with a fiberglass mesh tape, get it all fiberglass mesh tape, go through and I'm gonna do a first coat of hot mud. Hot mud is a quick set material. This is a pro grade material. Of course, if you never mudded before, just stick to an all-purpose joint compound. All-purpose joint compounds have to dry overnight, and then you sand those, then second coat, then sand the second coat, then third coat, and so on. That's the difference between a hot mud and a joint compound. Joint compounds you sand in between coats and they have to dry overnight. A quick set mud sets up either a 5-minute, 20-minute, 40-minute, or 90-minute. But these quick set hot muds are more professional grade material because once they do start to set up, they set up like a cement. It's a stronger material. You can sand hot mud the next day, but I don't recommend it. Hot muds, you have to do a slick out technique. And you'll see here, I slick it out with a 6-inch knife and a damp sponge. And you'll see in most of my videos, I use a hot mud because these jobs I have to finish in one trip. These small jobs, I can't keep coming back the next day, the day after. So I have to finish everything in one trip, get all set up, get it all mudded and textured and cleaned up all in one trip. So that's why I use a hot muds. Of course, if you're doing a project at your own house, you have more time, you can keep coming back. So then you just use an all-purpose joint compound. All-purpose joint compounds are less forgiving, so you can sand away your mistakes. Hot muds, they set up like a cement. You can sand away your mistakes, but you're going to be better off trying to sand cement because it's basically what you're going to be doing if the hot mud really sets up. Like a 5-minute will set up in 4 to 7 minutes, so I always check it after 4 minutes. If it starts setting up, I slick it out. If not, I give it a couple more minutes. I wait till it sets up. Of course, hot muds, when you use them on a gloss painted wall, semi-gloss, they take a little longer to set up. The glossier the wall, the longer it takes to set up. On these flat old walls, they set up right away. And if your water is dirty when you mix hot muds, they'll set up even faster. So you always use a clean, fresh water, bucket of water, clean tools whenever you mix hot muds. That way your mud doesn't set up faster than it should and cause chaos on your coating process. So always use clean water. Even if you're using joint compounds, always keep a fresh bucket of water. Every coat, clean out your bucket of water. Just keep everything clean and nice. It just helps the mudding when you have clean water, clean tools, just basic stuff like that. But yeah, just gonna get this all coated and ready to go, and then it'll look good. I'm gonna do 2 coats on here. After the second coat, I could probably turn around and do a texture. If it's still rough, then I would do a tight third coat. If you have like a smooth texture where you live, you would just follow through with a tight skim coat of a joint compound for the third or fourth coat and leave it smooth. Just get this all coated out, but easy. Just cutting out a 6-inch little ripper on the base area before they install baseboard. That way everything's nice and straight and clean. Common job, believe it or not. People spill water on the tile. It could have been the guy dumped water when they're doing the tile, dumped his bucket of water, ran into the wall. I don't know. That's up to the homeowner to find out. But hey, I hope you liked the video. Thank you for viewing.